What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Giant Hot Takes podcast, your home for the hottest takes about the San Francisco Giants. I'm your host, Jack. I'm joined by my co-host, Jake. We are back, and before we get going, go over to X, follow us there at GiantHot_takes. We're up to 750 followers on the race to 1,000. Make sure to follow us there. Please share our posts with your good buddies who are Giants fans. We also need you to smash that subscribe button on YouTube right here or Spotify or wherever you're listening. We got 750 on Twitter, like I said. Only 47 here, so we need to get up to 100. Keep growing there. We'll be announcing some giveaways shortly. The players are in Arizona kicking off spring training. We have a spring training preview and roster conjunction ready for you. How are you feeling, Jake, before we get into it?
Feeling pretty good. I say this every year, but this year's going to be a good year, I'm feeling. I mean, we got some guys. We lost some, gained some. Posey coming in's really big for us. We got a new left side of the infield member, Willy Adames. That's always big. We hadn't really talked about that since the last time we were on here, kind of praying on him, and, we got our guy. That's a big deal. Got Justin Verlander. He's a 2019 Cy Young with the Astros, I believe. And, he could either make or break your season. You want to give us a little bit of information on Justin Verlander and his new contract?
Yeah, so we'll start off with Verlander. We signed Verlander kind of randomly, 1 year, $15 million, just turned 42 years old. As we all know, Buster Posey's 37, so he goes and makes a splash signing the guy that's 5 years older than him. I know you've been high on Verlander. I'm kind of iffy. His stuff did look good early last year before he got injured. Apparently, he's feeling healthy right now. What's your thoughts on Verlander? What he can bring to our team this year? You probably slot him in number 3-4 slot in the rotation pretty early.
Yeah, I mean, he's a veteran presence. He's got one of the best resumes the game has nowadays. He can lead your young guys. He can teach them. He's a good mentor. And when you have a guy like Posey that's running the office, it's really hard to not have some energy behind him, especially a guy that you faced off against in the 2012 World Series, even though they put up a pretty terrible fight because our Giants ruling them. But I mean, I think their friendship's going to be big, and I think Verlander will be a great presence for some of the younger guys, and he'll definitely be a big stepping stone for a guy like Birdsong or Harrison to shift in for.
Yeah, no, I agree, and all of a sudden we have some really good veteran leadership at the top of that rotation. Logan Webb is going to win Cy Young this year. It's kind of a foregone thought. Robbie Ray won a Cy Young as recently as 2022, I believe, or was it 21?
I think he's 21 with the Rays.
21, and then we got Verlander with 2019 Cy Young. So a lot of good mentors for some young guys with some stuff. We got Harrison, Birdsong, Roop, Carson Wisenhunt all coming up here pretty soon. We're just going to kind of go through the offseason really quick before we get into our spring training position battles. As Jake mentioned, as I'm sure you better know, we got Willy Adames for 7 years, $182 million, 0 opt-outs. We got Willy here for 7 years. Very excited about that. We've kind of already touched on it, but just going back to Willy, I mean, what does Willy kind of bring to this team that we haven't really seen at that position since Crawford?
He can be a leader. I mean, he didn't have much of a glove last year, but throughout his whole career, he's known for having not too bad of a glove. He's got an arm. It's going to be much better than what we had going last year, and that's a fact. Something that we've been struggling with in recent history is hitting with runners in scoring position, and that's something that he was really able to do with the Brewers last season. So I'm really hoping that this translates into this year with this squad that we have. I mean, we got a lot of new weapons. We got a lot of returning weapons. We got a lot of young guys. Hopefully we can shift our play style a little bit, play a little bit more speedy ball. I mean, we got some quicker guys coming in. With the Rays trade, we got the Alevis Basabe guy. He's got some speed, so hopefully he can platoon or play some sort of glue guy position for us at some point. He was a 300 hitter in the minors, so that's always good to see as well. You want to touch any more on any of that?
Yeah, I'm pretty high on Basabe. I know immediately people on Twitter kind of said that Farhan's still working for us because that was our big trade of the offseason. Only trade. I see it as kind of like zero risk deal. We gave him a couple $1,000 cash. He's a former Rays top 5 prospect. It's pretty high. Rays are known for kind of producing good guys in their farm. Obviously, he was DFA'd by them. There's a reason. But, Basabe is only 24. As Jake said, career 300 hitter in the minors. Good speed, infield versatility. You can play anywhere in the infield. You can throw him in the outfield. I think he's an upgrade over Wisely, and just kind of making these small upgrades on the roster could pay dividends because, as we know, we've kind of had some guys with health issues. So I'm pretty high on Basabe. We'll see if he can break out in spring training. I think he's a good breakout candidate. Another minor league deal we touched on, we signed Lou Trevino, last pitched in 2022. I know you have a better background on Trevino and his major league experience, Jake. What's your thoughts on Trevino? I think it's a pretty low risk, high reward deal.
I mean, yeah, he's had some good years. The strength of his career's a little bit behind him, I'd say. I mean, he's got good stuff though. I mean, he's got a great pitch mix. He uses his splits well. He gets a little bit of everything in there. He produces ground balls, which is really good. If our defense can play like we're known for, then that'll be great to have him. He's a little bit older, but, minor league deal out of a relief pitcher. You can't ask for much out of that. I mean, hopefully he can just go in there and do his job and get something done in a favorably manner.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's got that hard sinker, throws it like 95 to 98. Never hurts to have bullpen depth. I'd assume he has a pretty good chance to make the big league roster out of camp if he can do well. We also signed Joey Lucchesi to a minor league deal. We needed another lefty in the bullpen. Traded Taylor Rogers for cash considerations. Before we get into Lucchesi, what was your thoughts on that Taylor Rogers trade? Save about $6 million and pocket it right to Johnson's pockets.
I mean, Lucchesi he's kind of like a Taylor Rogers a little bit. I mean, he's the big lefty. He's got that like 3/4 arm angle. The only difference really is the velocity on the sinker. He's only averaging about 89.8 miles an hour on that compared to Taylor's high 90s sinker with the loopy curveball, who Lucchesi also has. But he's a big downgrade from that. But I mean, it's a minor league deal. We opened up a little bit of space in our cap. There's no cap, but like we saved a little bit of money with this guy, and I think that if he pitches well in spring training, he'll definitely earn his role, but he's got to do pretty well.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's probably going to make the roster, I'd assume. We literally only have one lefty in the bullpen, which is Eric Miller. I like Eric a lot, but it's an MLB roster. I wonder if I doubt they move Wisenhunt up to the bullpen. They must have a plan inside the organization. Haven't really looked much into our left-handed pitching prospects. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting situation to be in, only having one lefty in the back end of the bullpen. So yeah, that'll be a fight. And just kind of rolling it into the next segment, we got a lot of position battles this spring training. First game in 9 days. We'll start it off with the first kind of point. Going in, didn't really know who was going to be the closer, if they'd fight over it. Bob Melvin said today Ryan Walker is officially the closer. They'll be moving forward with him. What's your thoughts on it? I'm pretty happy about that.
I'm a big fan. I mean, he's got good control. He's got good velocity. His pitches are good. I mean, he's exactly what you want out of a closing guy. You don't want a guy that's going to blow games because he's walking back-to-back guys and all of a sudden leaves one down the middle because he has control issues. You want someone that can take advantage of the count early and pitch around guys like Walker does. So I'm really glad he has the role right now. I'm excited to see what Duvall brings this year. Hopefully he's coming in with a little bit of revenge, really wanting to get that spot back, I'm sure. But, he's got to prove himself, and Walker's a hard guy to get past. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's never a bad thing to have competition back there. I think Walker rightfully earned it. I'd love to see Duvall bounce back because then you have a 7-8-9 with Duvall, Rogers to Walker. I don't think there's a better back end in the league. I mean, that's 100% top 5 if Duvall returns to all-star form. And, we got guys that can put the ball in play, score some runs this year, so I think it's a big deal. Rolling over, we already touched on Verlander a little bit. I had some quotes just about what the Giants are expecting. Very positive day in camp today for Verlander. Verlander said himself, "This is for sure the best I've felt the last few years." And then this is from Bob Melvin. He said, watching some of the video this spring, he looks like pretty much the same guy as in the past. He said, you look at the internal numbers, the vert and the velos and stuff like that from bullpens, and it's all been really good. I know last year he had some neck and shoulder stuff bothering him, but he feels fully healthy now. Coming from the manager, that seems like a pretty big deal and pretty big positives that they wouldn't just hand out to anybody.
No.
I mean, what do you
You gotta
kind of
live
take
up to
from
that.
that? What do you kind of take from Melvin's comments there?
I mean, you're not just going to comment and then he plays bad and then everyone's going to hate on Melvin. You're not going to say these types of things and really not be 100% confident with your words. As the manager, I mean, you gotta hide some stuff. You gotta tell some stuff, and the stuff that you tell has got to be stuff that the fans want to hear, and it's got to be true. And I'm really hoping that Verlander is going to be back to what he is. If Melvin says so, I'm going to believe him, and then if he's wrong about it, then I'm going to be disappointed. So, yeah, so I'm going to stick here with Melvin and then really pray on that.
Yeah, no, it's not really stuff you can make up if they're looking that good, feeling healthy. He's 42. His body's probably going to break down, might not pitch a full season. But Melvin also did say, quote, we're counting on him. He knows it. So, I mean, that's pretty good to know. With the guy with Verlander's track history, it's a pretty big deal. So if he can play a big role, I think it kind of changes the floor of this team. Position battle number 1, rotation spot up for grabs. So they obviously have Webb, Verlander, and Ray. Hicks came to camp, put on 15 pounds this offseason. Before we get into the battle, Hicks says he's ready to, quote, take the training wheels off and get going for a full season as starter. What's your thoughts on Hicks in the starting role and officially ramped up, it sounds like?
So what I'm a little concerned with is how Harrison and Birdsong are fighting for a spot. We'll get into that more in a minute. And Hicks has a guaranteed spot in the rotation. After being a first-time starter last year, and he really did poorly towards the back end of the season, obviously expected out of a guy who's been a relief pitcher his whole career. I mean, you're not known for length. So gained 14 pounds, hoping that his velocity stays with the innings as well. He's been known for his velo. He should keep throwing for velo. That's who Hicks is. So I really hope that he's truly ready for this 4th rotation spot, because I'm pretty high on Harrison and Birdsong being young guys, especially with Verlander, who's a veteran, right there in front of him. But if Melvin makes the decision that Hicks is the guy for the 4th spot, then let's hope he's correct on that.
I hope so too. I mean, I'm kind of excited for Hicks, but it's just kind of strange their refusal to just have him go for 104 in the back end of the bullpen, which I think is also very valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting. I think his deal was 4 years, $44 million, so he's not cheap. But it's also, I don't know that he should be there to stunt the development of Harrison and Birdsong. So I think he needs to have a pretty short leash. And then for the, as you said, for that 5th spot, we got Harrison, Birdsong, and Landon Roop fighting for that spot. Where do you think this stands? Who do you think the favorite is to come out of camp?
It's got to be Harrison. I mean, he's been the guy longer than both of these two. They say he got his velo back. We love to hear that because, last year it was down a little bit. If his velo's up, then he can be truly unstoppable. I mean, we've seen what he's done to some of the bad teams. If he can get this velo back, work his control, I mean, his stuff is there. Arm angle's there. Everything's there. Mechanics are there. If he can truly be an all-star if he pitches the way we know he can. And I think that he should have the lead over the other guys because, he's got that spot. I mean, we kind of need more lefties in this rotation. It's him and Ray that we're depending on in that situation. Besides that, we really just got Eric Miller and the entire bullpen. So I think Harrison should definitely get this role. I mean, Birdsong, we've seen his stuff. It's absolutely nasty as well. He's got that great curveball. He's beat up on a lot of bad teams too, but he's also lost it and lost his confidence a little bit against some of the good teams. What's your opinions through the Harrison Birdsong group, and who do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's obviously probably Harrison. If that velo's back, it's a really positive thing because he has a plus fastball, like you said, no matter the velocity. And if the velocity goes up, I mean, he came out, he was 95, 97 all the way through the minors, working on a changeup. And there was a good quote. I forget who said it. I think it was somebody on staff was talking like, Harrison's only 23 years old, guys. Like, he's played a year and a half in the bigs, and he's done pretty well. Not elite stuff, but he's 23 years old. People forget about that, how production and growth isn't always linear for these guys. So I think Harrison is primed for a big-time year. I think he's going to be getting back to that top half of the rotation. I really think he has ace stuff in the future. In terms of Birdsong's a dog. I think Birdsong is going to throw a lot for the Giants this year. Odds are with Rays and with Verlander's and Hicks's injury history and ramp up that there's going to be plenty of innings to fill up there. So I wouldn't worry too much about Birdsong not pitching early.
Gotta love the depth.
Yeah, no, it's very good depth. Roop can throw. And honestly, Birdsong, he kind of showed some fatigue, so I think it would be important for him, even just if he's not pitching, to get innings down in AAA and just ramp back up because we'll need him probably June, July in that summer stretch. Would you agree?
Definitely. I mean, as we saw last year, we were short on pitching pretty much the entire year. And there was a lot of guys that came up and got their opportunity, whether it was Howard or Bivens or Birdsong. I mean, they all got to flash their stuff, and some of them were rewarded for it. So probably going to be looking at a similar situation this year based on just pure, logic. 40-year-old Verlander he'll probably move down a little bit. It's hard to maintain the perfect elite stuff that we know he can have for an entire season. And a guy like Ray, who just came off of an injury, got back last season, he's also aging a little bit too, and coming off an injury too. I mean, you never know what's ahead of you. So it's great to have this depth in a lot of these guys that are gritty for that position. And, that's what I think is great about it.
I agree, and we also have Carson Wisenhunt kind of working in AAA plus change up. He's getting close to getting an opportunity with the big squad. I imagine he gets some looks this year. I'd imagine. Rolling into the next segment, we got the non-roster invitees, which kind of was a glimpse of what the front office is looking forward to. So the most notable things is we did not non-roster invite an outfielder. So that's great news for Matos, McRae, Luciano, and Meckler. Before you get into that, Luciano officially working with the outfielders, changed to outfield. What's your thoughts on that before we get into the position battle?
I mean, Posey's been working well with this infield that he's kind of been building a little bit. And with Chapman we got last year and Adames this year. And, big prospect Bryce Eldridge will be coming up either later this year or next year. A big focus has got to be the outfield, and a lot of these guys we have, they've spent their time down there in the minors. The last year they came up ready to go, and the thing about Luciano that I love is that he's getting a shot at outfield now because infield's kind of narrowing down for him, and you can't really give up on a guy like him with his potential that easily. So moving him rather than giving up on him, I think, is the right move, especially with a lot of young talent around the rest of the outfield. There could be a lot of room for adjustments.
No, I agree. It's a pretty interesting one to watch. And then, as you mentioned, first time Bryce Eldridge will be in Arizona for spring training. So that's obviously really exciting for Bryce, really exciting for the organization. He's sitting around 20 to 35 in the prospect rankings, depending on where you look. He should be top 10 by the end of the year. I think he's easily the best first base prospect in baseball and probably the best power bat in the minors right now. Rolling into position battle, we were kind of talking about it. The third and fourth outfield spot appears to be right field. We'll have Jung-Hoo Lee back, looks very healthy in center field. Elliot Ramos in left field, and he'll probably DH a little bit. And then so that leaves Yaz, Matos, McRae, Luciano, and maybe some Wade Meckler, although they like him in the infield now as well. Who do you kind of see as the favorite here? Matos won MVP in his winter league, hit 310 home runs. Grant McRae looked really good down the stretch, has some good tools, and Luciano's yet to find his groove, but we all know what he's been. Who do you like out of this group?
I think Yaz is the go-to, definitely, right now. He's the veteran presence. We've seen his glove. He's got a great glove. He's a clutch hitter. We've seen him do some crazy things late in the game, clutch home runs. We know he does have a strikeout problem, though.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, this roster's a big strikeout problem. But I think you have to go with Yaz for now and definitely platoon him with Matos because, Matos, he's proving himself. We've seen what his potential can be in the big leagues with that one amazing week he had. Kind of toned it down from there, but, we've seen he's playing up recently. He won the MVP of his winter league. He should definitely be getting his role. I think they should platoon those two for now. And if Ramos is DHing or whatnot, I think you got to go with McRae for a little bit, and then Luciano's got to be that fourth option, just because, I mean, he's kind of the youngest link. He's the weakest link in the outfield. He's still got a little bit more to learn, I think. And, I mean, we already rushed him once. I don't think we should try to do it again. I mean, you don't want to rot him down in the minor leagues, but at the same time, you can't really push him into a starting role right this instant and expect him to perform like his potential is said to. So, yeah, that's kind of my position there. Go Yaz, Matos, platoon the two. If you're DH and Ramos, go McRae. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's also worth noting Luciano's in his last option year, so if they option him one more time, he gets DFA'd. So I imagine they start him off pretty slow in AAA. Same thing with Matos. I couldn't agree more with you with Matos. It needs to be a platoon, and he can play on days that Ramos doesn't. Matos needs 300 to 350 at-bats to see what he can really do. Underrated part of this outfield, especially if you play McRae, which I think McRae has earned a role. He's going to continue to need to earn the role. His defense, that defense in the outfield, you got Yaz as a perennial Gold Glover. Hasn't won one yet, I don't think, or maybe he's won one, but he's a Gold Glover. He should be. Jung-Hoo Lee's got awesome defense. Elliot Ramos, awesome defense in the corners, and then McRae is a Gold Glover as well, or a potential Gold Glover. So that's underratedly a very good defensive outfield with some offensive potential. So I'm excited to see how that plays out, but I think I'd agree with you. You got Jung in center, you got Ramos in left, you got Yaz and Matos platooning with McRae kind of filling in where you need him. Position battle number 3, DH, not one I'm out of my seat for. It's a big shit show. I can't believe that front office signed off on this actually being the competition. But we got 80-year-old Wilmer Flores, Gerard Encarnacion, potentially some Luciano, Tom Murphy's back from the dead, and maybe the odd man out in the outfield. So what's your overall thoughts on this battle?
I mean, we're not going to have a true DH for the first month of the baseball is what it looks like. I'm not big on Flores that much, but, I mean, we've seen what the dude can do when he's healthy. Not last year, but the year before that. I mean, he was hitting over 280 with 26 home runs. He's got a great eye. I think you can't really take him out of the mix just because he's a veteran presence. But I definitely don't think he should take the role 100% to himself. I think on opening day roster, you have to go with Flores here just because of his eye and his discipline at the plate. Then work in Encarnacion, maybe a little bit of Luciano. I don't love Matos at the DH spot. I think that his glove could really be crucial to learn. You don't really want to have a guy of his potential and age that hasn't been known to have bad defense, just give up on it. Like Luciano, I think he'd be better fit for DH than Matos if it's down to both of them, just because Luciano's got to learn the outfield a little bit more. But I think Flores has got to be your day one guy. But definitely up for grabs between a lot of things. There's a lot of things we need to see. Definitely in spring training, that could be the deciding factor.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of Flores. It's going to be a lot of Bailey. Bailey's going to get hopefully some more rest this year with Tom Murphy, underrated. Probably Tom Murphy, we'll talk about that a little later. I don't know that Eldridge breaks up this quickly, but Eldridge is obviously another big chance for DH, as is Lamont Wade. Him and Flores was platoon. So pretty disappointing there, but we're kind of just waiting on Eldridge. He's got nothing in front of him. They're kind of letting him ride out and hoping he pans out, which I think he will. Position battle number 4, backup catcher. As we saw last year, Patrick Bailey is kind of a mess in the second half. It's got a lot more to do with conditioning than actually Patrick Bailey, the player. So we're going to have a backup catcher competition, which I'm kind of excited about. It looks a lot better than last year. Not elite options, but pretty good options. We got Tom Murphy versus former Rangers prospect Sam Huff, who we acquired. I think it's probably Murphy's job to lose. What do you kind of make of that? They're both on the 40-man, so we'll probably see all 3 of them at some point throughout this year.
We saw a little bit of Murphy last year. He got hurt pretty early on. He's kind of a pull hitter. Has some strikeout problems as a catcher. I mean, that doesn't mean much, but it's going to come down to the defense as a backup catcher. Whoever's posing the better defensive job and whoever has the better eye, that's really what it's going to come down to. It doesn't really matter how much power or contact the guy has. It's just who can fill the role for Pat when he's not playing. So Sam Huff is known for having a ridiculous amount of pop for a catcher. And usually when this is the case, they're not very focused on their defense. So hopefully he can change my mind on that. But I definitely think that it's going to be a battle between the two. And, yeah, I sure do hope to see a little bit of Sam Huff because, he hasn't really had his fair share in the league yet. And I think he could be pretty exciting if he gets up to the plate because he's got a lot of power.
Yeah, pretty exciting white there. We got position battle number 5, last one, infield depth. So we obviously got in the infield, we got Matt Chapman, Willy Adames, Tyler Fitzgerald, kind of filling out that. We got Casey Schmidt, Rhett Wisely, Wade Meckler, Oslevis Basabe. Out of those 4, what's the 2 you're taking? I think I'm taking Basabe and Schmidt, and I think Wisely's probably the odd one out. And Meckler, maybe if he catches fire again in the minor leagues, could come up because he has some big tools. But I'm probably going Schmidt and Basabe.
I'm going Meckler and Basabe. Schmidt, he hits .210 in the league. He's got a strikeout problem. He's had a couple of clutch at-bats. He's got a crazy arm. But, he's never going to go over to third base anymore with Chapman. Arm doesn't really mean much at second base. Meckler's one of the most gritty players I've seen out on the field. He hustles everything. He's got contact.
Speed.
Yeah, he's got crazy speed. He'll take you some bags. So I think out of a platoon second baseman or infield depth, I think you got to go Meckler and Basabe just because of their tools. They have more tools than I'd say Schmidt, Wisely, and Luciano.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if they actually do give it to Meckler. I'm going to guess they'll probably give it to Schmidt off the rip. I'm excited to see Meckler hit, though, because, speaking of get rushed up, he got rushed through the minors.
Got
Former
drafted
Oregon
in 2023,
State draft
came up
pick.
Like the first week.
Yeah. Go Beavers. Shout out Dave O'Neill. Yeah, so I'm excited to watch that. I'm just really excited to watch some spring training games. So segment 3, I kind of put it out on Twitter. We got some Twitter reactions from our comments section. From Kick Dirt Baseball, another podcast like us. Go check them out. He said, what Giants non-roster invite do you see making an impact on the big league club in 2025? I said Lou Trevino probably just because I think he's got good stuff, good track record. I'd love to see Eldridge up, but I just don't know that 2025 is realistic. Breakout year for him? Kind of who do you see out of that non-roster invite making?
I don't really know. I'd love it to be Eldridge, but it would be dumb to do it. There's not really any guys that are going to make a crazy impact that come out of the non-roster invites. So
yeah, that's fair. And then next one, we got Mike Val. Predictions for the Willie Mack Award winner, which is like our hustle kind of teammate guy. Matt Chapman won it last year. I'm going to go Jung-Hoo Lee. I think he's going to have a great year. He's got aura off the charts, kind of loves being there. Seems like a locker room guy. Who's your pick? We're going to write these down and check these down the end of the year.
That's a good question.
Shout out Mike, man. First guess, legend.
I'm going to probably go Jung-Hoo as well.
Jung-Hoo Lee, you heard it here
he's
first.
A hustle player. He loves it. Fans back him up more than anybody else. I can't not love the guy. He's perfect.
Jung-Hoo Lee, I'm excited to see him. You saw him die on the field on Mother's Day.
Emotional day.
Which is heartbreaking. We got the next one at Stu_C23. He said if we had Adam Sandler's remote from Click, we would be better off as Giants fans just skipping past the Ohtani era. What's your thoughts on that? I completely disagree.
Yeah, I just hate Shohei Ohtani so much.
Yeah, he belongs in prison.
Yeah, when you gamble on sports as an athlete, you should probably go to jail. Not your interpreter. That doesn't really make sense because, your interpreter's just gambling your millions without you knowing. Bank never called, none of that. So,
Nothing.
Yeah, he's a degenerate gambler. He probably should be kicked out of the league. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Then just some notes around the league. Blake Snell showed up to spring training.
Surprising.
Showed up in pajamas and a pink drink from Starbucks. Our comment section let him hear it if you want to look at that. Like, he was off a gaming bender, which I'm sure he was. So Blake Snell has a crippling addiction to playing really shitty MLB The Show. We could both beat him pretty single-handedly. I'm honestly pretty happy we don't have a guy like that in our locker room anymore. What's your thoughts on Snow to the Dodgers?
He's
I know we kind of already talked about it.
I don't like snakes very much.
Mm-mm.
Guys who leave for more money or for the super team or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just dumb. I mean, you're going to end up being the 5th option on the team behind the 9 other superstar pitchers they have. So I hope you enjoy your role and probably down in the minors at some point. They don't keep you and they don't care for you if you don't have a perfect ERA and you win Cy Young because their fans don't watch baseball.
Mm-hmm.
They just sit there and watch the score and, oh my gosh, Freddie Freeman hit another home run.
Yeah, like they had no idea it was the World Series, probably.
It's ridiculous.
Speaking of the Dodgers, they hired our boy Farhan, their
the
special
spy.
agent. I mean, he's clearly a double agent for the Dodgers. It kind of makes sense why they signed Michael Conforto now. We kind of knew that was happening, that Farhan was working for them. Why did it take so long for them to announce it, you think?
He's been a spy this whole time. I stand by that. Just like Ohtani's a degenerate gambler, Farhan was a spy for the Dodgers this whole time.
Yeah.
Trying to dig us our own grave. It's just dumb. I mean, we're going to come back and bite him in the ass so hard pretty soon here. It's going to be amazing.
Yep.
I hope the MLB develops a cap or like the market crashes and then they just go to absolute hell. That would make my year. I just cannot wait for the day when we are so back and destroying the franchise that we own again.
Yeah, I mean, just straight up, I'll say it. Fuck Farhan Zaidi. He did nothing for us. Struck lightning in a bottle. Awful hire by the Dodgers. They've officially been eliminated from the 2025 playoffs. I tweeted out about Patrick Bailey earlier. I know we talked about this off stream. One of the top comments was, quote, "I'm happy for them. They only had to go through like 20 of them," referring to catchers, in the last few years to find one. What do you think about that? This guy clearly hasn't watched much MLB.
Yeah, it's what a Dodger fan will do. I mean, they don't watch baseball. They don't know anything about it. They just don't know anything. They only know Betts, Freeman, and Ohtani. There's only 3 players they know. They don't know that there's other teams in the league, and they don't know that they're spending ridiculous amounts of money that shouldn't be allowed. They don't know anything. We went through about half a catcher. We drafted Bart and Bailey back-to-back years. So Bart had about 150 at-bats, and then we decided to ditch him and went to Bailey, and it worked out perfectly fine. So, yeah, we went through half a catcher, not even one, to get to Patty. But 20, I'm concerned to who the other 19 were, the other 19 and a half.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because that's just ridiculous of how stupid you are to comment something like that.
Yeah, classic Dodgers fans. He also follows us, so he likes our content a little bit. Going around, Eagles won the Super Bowl, so it's officially baseball season. My only kind of takeaway from the Super Bowl was Kendrick Lamar played, and he didn't bring Chapman out at the Super Bowl halftime show for Not Like Us. That seemed like a blown opportunity. I mean, he brought out Serena Williams, but if he brought out Matt Chapman, I think that clip would have gone a lot more viral, not Gavin Lux.
It would have been, I mean, from a pretty mediocre Super Bowl performance to probably like top 5 all time if you brought out Matt Chappie in a ref outfit or something. I mean, that would have been perfect.
And the ref throwing a flag. Yeah, Matt Chapman. Yeah. I mean, that was definitely a missed opportunity. I'll probably talk to him. I'll email Kendrick about that. But, I mean, what's done's done. He blew it for himself. Had a chance to turn it all around. You got any parting thoughts for us, Jake, as we go into spring training?
I hope players surprise me. I mean, I don't want to do what I've seen the past 3 years of just the same mediocre BS. I want someone to surprise me, and I want them to keep surprising me the whole season. So let's have a good season, boys. Hopes are high.
Yeah, hopes are always high. Stay tuned on our Twitter. I got to talk to Jake after this. We're going to be having a pretty good content. We'll be having these once a week. We got to figure out the day. And Jake's going to be getting the TikTok going here pretty soon. He's a legend on the TikTok. He'll be doing that. Stay posted on Twitter for us. We're doing good things there. Elliot Ramos saw our post. We'll have some special guests here pretty soon. Pretty big guys in the Giants organization and on Giants Twitter. We appreciate you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to this. Follow us on Twitter at @GiantNaha_takes and stay tuned for our content. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jake.
Thank you guys for tuning in.